All right.
We pretty excited about this?
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this.
So, yeah.
The double hoy. Thanks for tuning in.
For those who are just joining us, we're a pretty average couple who decided to make travel and adventure a way of life.
A couple of years ago, we took the next step and made a boat our home so we could bring our creatures and comforts along for the ride.
Together we sail the seas, trek the globe, or even just take a drive, as long as it's somewhere new.
We were days away from realizing a goal that we had set a decade before. We were finally getting ready to put all of our lives on this boat and head south. But we felt more than a little bit guilty for Bill and George. They had really come to love exploring the docks and, in George's case, the nearby neighborhoods. And now they were going to be confined to a boat for a long time. That's not a lot of space. But more so even for Bill. When we were getting his travel paperwork done, we found out that he has a bit of a heart murmur and that any kind of increased stress would possibly make this worse. And he pretty much hated sailing. He's not a big fan of the engines turning on, not a big fan of the boat rocking around and all of that. So we had to make some special accommodations for him to make sure that he was healthy and safe and happy on the trip. We all said goodbye to our friends of all species.
That bird's not your friend. Aww.
And did a massive provision. We packed $800 worth of groceries into the back of a Mini Cooper and then had to find a place to store it all on the boat. The day of departure was calm and beautiful, and the sun was shining, and we took off without a hitch. JK, the starboard engine started billowing smoke before we were even out of the marina, and we had to turn around and go to the fuel dock for immediate repairs.
It actually only took Bryant and Eric one day to basically take apart the entire engine and figure out that we basically had a clogged artery in our engine system. So we didn't actually lose much time to what looked like it could be a pretty catastrophic problem. And then we were off the dock and onto the water for real this time.
What do you think about it, Bill? Them drugs working?
We weren't the only ones arguing with our engines. Right as we entered the second lock, Jo, who was piloting Resolute, discovered that she could not get her boat out of reverse. And so they had to pull up inside a tight lock. I actually don't even know how they did it. But Eric discovered later that there was a linkage pin? Linkage something that was broken. I'm good with this engine stuff. But Eric, being the legend that he is, managed to MacGyver together a fix for that before the water had even reached the top of the lock. Welcome back to the water. It's been a long time. Right now it is mid-November and unbelievably gorgeous. We were supposed to leave out yesterday, but we had engine trouble yet again. And now we are going through the Dismal Swamp, which, don't let the name fool you. It is so far gorgeous. Yeah. Bright poked his head up like a little gopher. He's been captaining pretty much all day. I have been tidying and organizing all of the things that should have been tidied and organized yesterday, but we're not. And we're buddy boating with Eric and Jo, who are an amazing asset and just amazing people, good friends, and I'm really happy, we're very lucky to be able to coordinate with them. We've been very nervous, at least I have been really nervous about the sail again, because toward the end of the last major sail, if you recall, it got a little bit dramatic, and so my nerves have been kind of shot leading up to this, and so I'm really grateful for a day like this. I know it's not really sailing, but we're in the boat, and we went through a lock, we went under like 4 bridges, and we did it like professionals. I mean, we barely even batted an eye. So I know that we've learned from last time. I know that we're going to do a lot better. So I look forward to being able to record lots of videos about how successful and peaceful and lovely this trip is. So yeah, send those positive vibes my way, and by our powers combined, we can have a wonderful, uneventful sail. This is definitely a swamp. I might even call it a squamp. Sam Squatch. There's a few feet on either side. Well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty tight. Sophia, how was your day of sailing today?
Great. Best part was it was a beautiful sunset.
Brian, what was your favorite part of sailing today, or motoring today?
It was relatively drama-free, and it was beautiful Dismal Swamp.
Oh, I love that part.
Yeah. And I had Fritos and bean dip.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Who gave you that?
My wife, she's a miracle. She would hate you.
Toads.
We need to be here.
You gotta do it.
Dance fight. Dance fight.
Hands up.
Bryant, dance fight. Show him how it's done.
First, you have to come in like this.
Thank you.
Watch this, ready?
Yeah, so I'm editing this video right now, and I had a little bit of a breakdown because I realized that there was this huge chunk of time that we had no footage for. And we were still getting back into the rhythm of trying to document things, and also I was trying to be a little respectful of our new boat friends who were with us most of the time, but who really didn't, you know, sign on to this to have a camera shoved in their face all the time. So I didn't really want to pull it out while they were there and just force them into this.
Hashtag warning, they're getting forced into it from now on.
Yeah. The last clip that you saw was us pulling into Elizabeth City and sitting around the campfire, and that was all nice. And then we went out, you know, for a little explore, and we were in Elizabeth City for a week?
10 days.
10 days. 10 days. And you've seen all of the footage that we shot in Elizabeth City. We're going to have a good old-fashioned sit down and catch up like we used to do when we forgot to film everything.
So yeah, I'm gonna start with a tidbit of information. Almost immediately when we got to Elizabeth City, I was working back here in the cockpit, and I hear this splash and all this commotion and ruckus. So I go over there and look, and George has fallen in the water
Again.
Now, George, as you've seen, has fallen in the water before, but before he had docks that he could climb out on, and he apparently cannot climb out on the sugar scoops of the catamaran.
We weren't at anchor, but they didn't have the same kind of a system as he was used to.
Yeah, he couldn't claw his way up the wood and onto the low floaty docks. This was like an elevated dock. And then he couldn't get onto the back of the catamaran because it was kind of slippery every time he would try to claw up. So I saw him there, and I went down to get him, and I reached down for him, and he bit me once, and I was like, okay, well, this is going to suck, but we got to get him out of the water. So I reached down and grabbed him again, and he bit me quite well and scratched me quite a number of times. And that ended up causing us to have to sit in Elizabeth City for a few weeks while we figured out if my hand was going to go septic, because cat bites are notoriously bad. So we ended up talking to a really worthless online doc. His advice was to go to the ER, and I was like, dude, I work at an ER, and that's like they're not going to do anything for this in the ER. And he was like, well, that's what I'm going to tell you to do. And I was like, so you're not going to write me the antibiotic that I need? He's like, no. I was like, okay, thanks. Here's your $60 or whatever it was. So I ended up calling some friends, and they wrote me the prescription for the antibiotics that I needed. And so I took them, and over the course of about 3 weeks, it got better.
Do you have any scars?
Yeah, I've got a scar. You won't be able to see them, but I've got a scar here, and a scar here, and a scar here. Yeah, scars all along there.
If things hadn't gone well, we would have had to go all the way back up to Virginia in order to get this taken care of because of insurance. And so that's kind of why we would have just kind of continued to push south, but we didn't want to have to go days and days south only to find out that we had to then go days and days north again, get back to Virginia to get this taken care of. So we had to camp out in Elizabeth City, which was nice. Yeah. It was a cute little downtown. I worked on trying to put up a cat gate. Now that we had been made aware that it was more of an urgent matter to keep the cats from jumping off the boat.
Additionally, just kind of for all of you who are wondering, what about poor Georgie? He's fine. He still hates me. And so what we've done is we have a noodle on a rope that goes off the back of one sugar scoop. So if he falls in again, he can grab the noodle and climb up. And on the other side, when we're anywhere stopped, we just drop the swim ladder because the first couple of rungs of that have wood on them, so he should be able to grab those and jump up too. I haven't thrown him in the water to test it yet, but if he bites me again. And yeah, I didn't have good strength in that hand for probably a month. Now I've got almost basically the same range of motion again. Strength is back, but yeah, I couldn't do anything with that hand. And guess what else happened at the same time? The head gasket went on the engine. So fortunately, Eric of Resolute was there, and his family, and they were super kind and helped us out in replacing a head gasket. So I got to figure out how to replace a head gasket on a Yanmar 27. So if you need a hand with that.
Once Bryant felt confident that he had a clear bill of health, our engine was working, then we jumped out and went down to Bellhaven. And we spent the first night in just kind of like a public dock. And we had only really anticipated spending a little bit of time there. But then we moved around to the other side to TJ's Marina, which is an excellent marina. We're going to be going back there next year.
I'm actually wearing this is actually not planned, 100% not planned, but I am wearing the TJ's Marina shirt today.
And we spent a good long time there. Yeah. And you'll see what I got. We need this, Bill. Look at all those flies. Look at how much we need this.
Cat job, we wouldn't need it.
Exactly. If you were doing your job. Alone. Yeah.
Like, this is the bucket of oysters that was just given to us. unreal. All right.
We pretty excited about this?
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this.
Working hard over here.
Here, let me,
That whole
sneak
thing?
in here real quick.
Yeah.
Oh dear God.
Hey now.
Get it.
Yes, sir. Oh my god.
Just the cutest.
They had golf carts we could drive around on.
Yeah, yeah. So
Super
we
helpful.
we had fun. We had fun. I wish I could show you
Yeah.
how much fun we had.
Yeah, good times. What happened between Belhaven and Beaufort?
We motored a boat. Duh.
All right, so between Belhaven and Beaufort, we motored a boat. Duh. Don't miss the excitement next week as we realize more shit we forgot to film.